sing, I do sound healing with singing bowls, and I also produce products to help people live a joyful and happy life. Today, I would like to talk about one of my deodorant varieties called Dignified. And this was a vote that I put up on Instagram asking people which deodorant variety they wanted me to talk about first. When I first began, the idea was to do customs. I just wanted to do custom orders for everybody because I love the process of creating a fragrance blend. Every time I make my own deodorant, I make it just a little bit different, and it's very creative and it's like an art for me. But most people have no idea about how to compose a fragrance, and most people have never thought about composing their own deodorant fragrance before. And so even when I was offering the opportunity, people were maybe a little confused and not really sure what to make of it. Most people don't want to take the time to sit down and thoroughly go over all of the essential oils that are available and then put them together and make their own fragrance, right? People are busy and they would rather just select one that they like and then be on their way. Also, when I took my deodorant to the farmer's market, I was making it on site, and that got to be a little hectic because there would be people that wanted to buy my pre-mades, and then there would be somebody that wanted a custom, and I would be trying to juggle both, and I had like fire going to melt it down, and it just became a little much. So that's why I decided to make several varieties, and the thing that inspired those varieties was the 7 chakras, because the model of understanding human emotion and energy through the chakras was a part of my yogic philosophy and life. And using the chakra system to inspire the fragrance blends was a way that I was able to process the sadness of letting go of my yoga teaching. It felt really comforting and like I was paying homage to the years that I spent honing that yoga teaching skill. Dignified is the name that I gave the deodorant variety that is based on the 3rd chakra, which is the solar plexus, located in the abdomen, and the element associated with the 3rd chakra is fire. It's through that association with fire that I really understand the qualities of the 3rd chakra. The 3rd chakra relates to the ego and the sense of self and personal power and boundaries and our ability to affect change in our physical surroundings. It's also related to digestion and intelligence. And if you think about fire, what it does is it takes fuel and transforms it, separating nourishment from waste. And right away you can imagine the parallel in our digestion, right? We eat food and it goes down into the belly, and then the digestive system separates the nutrients that then keep us healthy and fuel the body from the waste, which we then pass along. And in a similar way, intelligence is the same process. We take in stimulation and information, and then our intelligence separates what is nourishing, what can be assimilated into knowledge and wisdom, and what is waste, what is false, what is not useful, what do we not believe. And that process of discerning and educating ourselves, it's just like fire and how it separates waste from nourishment. It's that process by which we process information that also leads to this notion of boundaries and personal power and strength, right? Because we separate out what is mine and what is not, right? When we don't have strong boundaries, it's really easy to take in other people's beliefs, other people's emotions, other people's stuff. And then we end up reacting to that stuff, whether it's explicit or perceived. When we have a really strong, balanced sense of self, even when somebody else or something else is agitated or out of balance or angry or sad or whatever it may be, we can perceive that that is of the other, and we can resonate, we can be affected, we can be empathetic without our entire energetic and emotional system shifting to align fully with what it is that is coming to us from another person. Ironically, the third chakra is probably my weakest area. I am prone to be extremely accommodating and flexible, to the point that I don't even realize that I've allowed my own boundaries to be crossed until I get angry. And then there's like a explosion and a really strong reaction that's out of balance and often leaves me feeling like embarrassed or have some shame around my tone of voice or my words or my actions. And so the development of clear boundaries is actually protective to those around you as well as yourself. So for the deodorant, I knew that I wanted a masculine feeling to the aroma. Most of the varieties are fairly unisex, but one of them is very floral and comes across to me as feminine. And so I wanted at least one that I could point to and say, like, oh, that's a guy's scent. And so I chose this one to be the candidate for that. And immediately the essential oil that came to mind was carrot seed, which is not a pleasant smell. Like, it smells really bad when you just open up the bottle and it's bitter. And like it has an herbaceous quality, but like it's not refreshing. It's earthy, herbaceous, bitter, super dry. And yet I knew as soon as I started meditating on the fragrance that was going to evoke the quality of a balanced, strong third chakra, carrot seed immediately came to mind. I knew that I wanted to use it. And something else that I will mention, when I smell and play with my essential oils, not going to lie, there's usually some really good psychedelics involved. When I smell them, I hear music notes in my head. I hear voices that might be in a choir. And the carrot seed is like a really loud, strident tenor. Big voice, really overpowering, and like cuts through the texture. So right away I knew that I needed something sweet to like balance that bitter earthiness of the carrot seed. And so I chose benzoin. Benzoin is a very resinous essential oil. And to me, it's a baritone. It's not like a super deep, dark bass note, but it is a lower sound, like a lyric baritone. And the aroma is like caramel, but without being sugary sweet. It's a beautiful, beautiful essential oil. And so I started blending the carrot with the benzoin. And I had to use a lot of benzoin for one drop of carrot to get a balance. But finally, I got a balance that was like, it had this like dry, strong, like really strong edge to it, but this really low, wide feeling of stability and almost nurturing. The next oil that I settled on was ginger root essential oil. And the ginger complemented the carrot seed because it's also very warming, but it's a balanced spiciness to go along with the sweet and bitter qualities of the benzoin carrot seed combined. So now we had a really complex but well-tuned array of scent profiles. And to me, the ginger was like another tenor, kind of a higher tenor that was harmonizing with the first one. And then the last oil that I settled on was amyris. Amyris is also basically a bass note. So I ended up with like a men's choir in the formulation of Dignified. which I loved because my initial thought was to create something that was masculine. And what I was hearing in my head was men's voices singing together in harmony. The amyris is woody and is often used as a substitute or a complement to sandalwood. Because sandalwood is like super expensive. The essential oil is really expensive. But the amyris is much more cost effective. It's not as rare. The plant doesn't take as long to grow, and so it can be harvested much more regularly. And so that was it. So we had the soloist, the carrot seed, that was like a very like upfront, strident aroma, and then balanced by the sweet and round qualities of the benzoin. The amyris also has a very warm, round quality, and then the ginger is like a harmony to it all. It has a spiciness to it. It blends really well. It doesn't come through the texture like sticking out. It's more of a unifying smell. And that's it. Very dry, very masculine. The Dignified turned out exactly the way that I had hoped for. And one thing that I love about that particular variety, it's my lowest performer in terms of sales, but I'm not even, I don't even want to change it because the people that like it, like really like it and don't really care about the rest of the varieties. Like when I sit at the farmer's market and I watch people go through and smell all the options, you know, they'll go through like, that's nice, that's nice, that's nice. And then they'll pick up Dignified. They'll be like, oh, I love that so much. And they really are really drawn to it. And then everybody else tends to ooh and ah over the other 6 varieties and then pick up Dignified and be very neutral about it. And so I think that's actually a good sign that it's so unique. It's such a unique characteristic that the right people are really drawn to it and the people that don't need it are not. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have a request about something you'd like to hear me speak to, please let me know. It really inspires me to keep making content and helps me to not feel like I'm talking to a camera alone in my workshop. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.